Ladies and gentlemen, it is 14 November 2018, 8:30 in the morning, the 5th edition of HL7 FHIR DevDays 2018, and I proudly announce Ewout Kramer, our one and only. Ewout, please.
Hey, good morning. Good morning all for the 5th year of Dev Days. Already the 5th year of Dev Days. So I wanted to, before we get on hacking and coding, talk a little bit with you about why we are doing this and what's the future that we are building to, the future of e-healthcare. So let's take a look at this. Where are we now? If we want to talk about the future, we first have to talk about where we are now. I took these slides from the WHO, and according to the WHO, 58% of the member states have an e-health strategy. And also, what the WHO did is inventorize how far are each member states regarding, mobile health. So if you look at this diagram here from the left to the right, I mean, you can't really read the text here, but I'll just announce them one by one. On the left-hand side here, we have toll-free calls. I mean, toll-free calls to emergencies, if that's considered mHealth, but whatever, about 80% of countries at least do that. And so it goes on to patient records here, which about, 70% of the countries have. And then finally on the right-hand side is like the most advanced stuff, like decision support. So still, that blue line is percent, the other is number. I don't think anyone here expected those to diverge, so I don't know why the WHO puts them both. But anyway, decision support systems is there at about 50%. So if this is where we are currently, what's the ambition of the member states? So the World Health Assembly in 2018 acknowledged the potential of digital technologies to play a major role in improving public health. And the resolution they talked about there, they urged the member states to prioritize the development and greater use of digital technologies in health as a means of promoting universal health coverage and advancing the Sustainable Development Goals. Well, if those are our ambitions, how are we going to get there? Simple. I got a diagram here. For the future of e-health, I can explain you by looking at this diagram. So in the center, we have health data, and around it are stakeholders, capabilities, sources, standards, and everything around that. And so beyond that, we go to... guys, what's this? Jongens, waar is mijn beeld?
This is boring. Come on, we have.
This is boring.
Boring.
I love Dev Days.
We'll just change it. Cut the crap there, guys. That's not Dev Days. No, man. Welcome again to the real Dev Days. Woo! Oh, that's better. Well, It doesn't really look proper this way, but anyway, where did we get here for? Dev Days is by, learning from each other, listening to interesting people talk about what they are doing with FHIR, how they are actually creating a better world, not talking about it, creating software that does it. Like this guy here, coding, that's what we like. We're at Dev Days. So, well, obviously I think the graphical user interface, he skipped this guy. This is a real hardcore coder, as we can see. This is not a stock photo. He might be here amongst you, actually, this guy. What we also like to do is think about the FHIR specification. Somehow many of us enjoy thinking about how many codes for administrative gender there should be. Or the way we'd like to include Dolphin as a language for our patients. That's what we love doing. I don't know why, but I love it and I get back here every year again. What we also like to do at Dev Days is get you slightly out of your comfort zone. I don't know if you've been here when we did this. Massaging your neighbor, that was slightly outside my comfort zone, I have to admit. But anyway, I can't deny that this is the 5th year that we're doing this here, so I figure we're going to take a small look back, and I thought, how are we going to do that? So what I did is I took Graham's, yes, you're there, I took Graham's presentation from 5 editions ago. So this is November 26, 2014, and I watched it again to see whether anything he said back then made sense now. What do you think? Yeah. Look at this one. I mean, initially we're kind of okay, but then down there at the bottom, late 2016, a normative version of FHIR. Really? We're 2018, and we're still working on it, but it's getting close. One thing that didn't change, though, one thing we're still unsure of, and that's interesting. Graham at that talk already showed this graph, and he's pointing to the throw of disillusionment. I don't know if you know this graph. This is the Gartner hype curve, and we have to mention it every year again because we don't know where we are. But I think back then we thought we were almost getting to that peak. Well, we were wrong about that, that's for sure. But what we were right about, actually what Graham was right about, and what he was pointing at, what he was pointing here, is he said, we can maybe try to avoid that throw of disillusionment and get to the plateau of productivity. The only way to shortcut that is to include and to create a community. And of all the things Graham said at that talk that actually didn't come true, and I'm not mentioning them, you have to watch the video yourself if you want to know it, community has proven to be really important. Look at you here. We started in our offices 5 years ago with just a group here eating sandwiches for lunch. This is Dev Days 2014. This was the seed of the community that's here now. We were eating simple Dutch sandwiches, and man, did we learn about that mistake in the evaluation forms. We did change that, but we didn't change all the stuff that worked. And maybe the best example of what has changed is this single picture here. In 2014, we were made fun of, we felt, again, much outside of our comfort zone by having to be the fire chiefs and be dressed like firemen and stand for the November Dev Days thing. And back then, these were the fire chiefs, the people that had to do it. And look at the community now. I mean, we currently, if any one of us decided here, if anyone at that moment, not only us, but also the few people who were there, decided to not work on FHIR anymore, FHIR wouldn't have been what it's now today. But we're now at a point where we can step back and say the community is vibrant enough, big enough, FHIR can be all on its own and can run itself. And that's the biggest change, I think, since that day 5 years ago. So, one thing also that never changes is my welcome screen. So I keep doing that. Welcome to the 5th year of Dev Days. This time around, we don't have 8 speakers, we have 45 speakers in 95 sessions for you to go to and watch the whole breadth of FHIR. 370 participants from 26 countries. Well, you can read the rest, but what's really special is 250 newcomers. Welcome all of you. That is really impressive. Thank you for showing up here. Just, Welcome to the family. So I hope you're going to feel comfortable here with all the people that have been here before, with the rest of the FHIR community, and learn from each other. A special welcome to the new countries here, Japan, Poland, Colombia, yeah? And that one? I thought it was Puerto Rico. Yes, it's Puerto Rico. And of course, the rest of us, we've been here before, but welcome, of course. So if you get lost in the coming days, there is these guys that have the yellow shirts. You probably already saw them. They look a little bit like this. They're out there to help. Don't worry, they're not salespeople. They don't want to sell you anything. They're there to help you. They know actually something about FHIR. They're developers themselves. But they will also be at the FHIR booth. We do have a booth, our organization's booth, the FHIR booth, where you can get a parking voucher if you got here by car, and all kinds of goodies. These aren't the kind of goodies that are made to make you wow. I mean, the normal pens and stickers, but we also got something special that you can make your colleagues at home jealous with. So every year we have to think of something. Well, the first thing is useful now. That's a 72-hour public transport card. So you don't have to pay anything for your public transport the next 3 days. Just pick up that card. That's present one. You get that every year. Now, this year, especially for you, we have these traditional mugs. I mean, these are the developer mugs that you'd like. I was like, mugs? Oh man, all conferences have mugs. But this is the, those big old-fashioned animal ones. I like them a lot. You can get them. And we have the Dutch Quartet. That's a game specially made with cards around FHIR. So if you're getting bored, you could play that game. This is also a social experiment. We have just enough of these, or a little bit more. So while we're not checking whether you got 1, 2, or 3, and you're even allowed to maybe take one for your colleagues. But we also want to make sure that everyone gets one. So it's up to you here together to solve that problem. Make sure everyone gets one, and if there's a few left over, take a few more. We don't want to remain with any of those when Dev Days is over, but we also want to make sure that everyone gets one. So try to figure that out. Those were the presents, so I figured instead of at the end of the presentation, I'll show the slide with our sponsors that make all of this possible, including the presents. So I want to say a big thank you for our sponsors. Now the next step, logistics. Sorry, we have to get through this. There we go. A day at Dev Days. What does a day at Dev Days look like? Because there are 250 new people, I just have to make you a little bit aware of what's going to go on in the next 3 days. So basically speaking, I will open this session at 8:30 every morning, even on Friday after the social event. There won't be that many people, but I'll be starting here at 8:30. At 9 o'clock sharp, the tutorials will start. So don't be late for that. It's about 40 minutes, and it gives you 10 minutes to get to your next session. They're all in this area, so that should be possible. And there's an initial coffee break with lunch at 12:30. Well, it's going to be a little bit busy at lunch, so just watch the queues and don't jump in the queues all at the same time. But 12:30 to 13:30 there's lunch. There's lunch for everyone. Coffee is available all through the day, by the way. So in the morning, mostly is tutorials. And in the afternoon, we have made space for actually doing things. I mean, there is a tendency of us, of course, to fill up the schedule with all these interesting things there's to talk about, but then there would be no space to actually do dev and try it out. So you'll see in the afternoon a session called Grab a Coffee and Code. That's not a session. You're just supposed to try out what you did, and many tutorial speakers will have exercises that you can try out if you're running out of fantasy to do on your own. They're on the website, so you can download them. And these tutorial speakers will be available at the tables for each subject that is going to be talked about. So you can find your table, your tutor will be there, and you can try things out. The hacking area behind you, that's where you came in, is available all day. It's yours. This is our common room. Sit wherever you want. Most frequently asked question at Dev Days, can I get a recording? Because it's impossible to go to all the tutorials. Yes, you can. We do record them, and they're available after Dev Days. So you can rewatch these sessions at home with your family. For a moment, I was thinking, how could we make sure that you can just put them on Apple TV or something? You can just stream them to your house. We'll get there at some point. The program is mostly self-explaining, except for the column, the most right column in the, on the website, which is... That's interesting. Yes, that one. Except for the sessions in the back room. So the setup of the building is that we have a few of these large rooms where we are now with the tutorials. We have lots of back rooms. And we figured that fitted the current state of FHIR. There are so many specialized subjects to talk about for smaller audiences that in this building there are 8 or 7 actually smaller rooms that we didn't have any strict plans with. So you can use them if you have any interesting subject to talk about. We have a few rooms of 6 persons, and those are called the meeting units, 1, 2, 4, and they're located at that side of the building. And there's the ski chalets, which are on the right-hand side. No snow, but they are definitely chalets. Slightly larger breakout sessions up to 15 persons. You can, really you can use them. If there's a subject you want to talk about, if you want to do a breakout, please come to us and we'll allocate you a slot so you can have your own session with a focused group of people. You can go as deep as you want, as geeky as you want. That's what these rooms are for. They're set up for that, so please use them. And there's a separate schedule for them, which is findable via the main one, but Amsterdam/back rooms. So those are the back rooms. You can do whatever you like. What happens in the back rooms stays in the back rooms. The only thing you can't do is close the curtains. You know, we're going to keep stuff decent. We, as usual, have a few out or inside your comfort zone things to do. So on Wednesday, we'll have the chair massage to keep you in shape. So on Wednesday and Thursday, basically, so let's get the Thursday there as well, we'll have chair massage for you to, you know, loosen up a little bit more when you've been behind the keyboard for a little bit too much. Also, there's a session on chair yoga. So you will learn just sitting in your chair how you can relax, breathe, refocus, and feel that you're part of the world again, not just running behind your machine. And if that's not enough, on Wednesday, so that's today, at 3:30, there's an introduction to a heartful life. So that is a wellness session. Well, I'll invite you to get there early. What I do in the evenings? Traditionally on Wednesday, this first day, we just keep on coding. So we'll supply the food here. You can stay around here for as long as you like, well, until 8 o'clock. And we'll just code and try out whatever we've learned. Tomorrow, I'd like to invite all of you to the social event. A big event where we all can go. We'll supply the food, we'll supply buses, but I'll tell you about those a little bit more tomorrow. And Friday evening, we'll finish by having a farewell drink, and after that you can get wherever you want in the city. We have coffee shops and all these kind of things. The schedule, as it is on the website, will change, especially if you start organizing these breakout sessions. So we'll try to keep the session, we'll try to keep you up to date by announcing changes. We keep the website up to date all the time, so the website is not static. Your booklet is, the website is not. There is this DevDays screen that you might have seen, and additionally, between sessions, we'll project the new agenda. So that's how you can get up to date. So today's Wednesday, day 1. In this same room, we will have 2 stand-up sessions after this one. The first one here is at 1:30, and that's run by Janet Campbell. She works for Epic, and she is responsible for the patient experience, and she's going to talk about the patient experience. And the patient experience, I'd summarize it as, what are we actually doing this work for? What can we do with our software, what can we do with our apps to improve the lives of people, of ourselves, once we start to be patient? And that's what Janet is going to talk about. And then might be, again, outside of your comfort zone tonight, during the hacking sessions, we invite everyone to do a lightning talk. anyone here can stand up and do a 5-minute talk here in this room and try out what it is to be here in the spotlight. You get 5 minutes to talk about anything you like. So it could be about flowers or whiskey or beer or music or fire and the connection with fire, whatever you like. Just find some of us and say that you want to talk. 5 minutes, maybe a few slides, and go for it. You've already found the building, I hope. We're in B. And confusingly enough, there's B1, 2, and 3, and we're in B3 now. And if you were with us last year, we were in B1 on the other side. So B is not a street, it's not a square, it's a company that hosts startup companies. So up there are all these small offices with startups, and they're doing cool new things. And they have 3 buildings in this area, and currently we are in B3. This is what our room looks like, and this is our home for the next 3 days. So I'll tell you the most important things that you have to know about here. So the entrance, obviously you found that one, otherwise you wouldn't have been here, but maybe also important are the exits, the extra exits. So there's an exit on the other side there, and there is an emergency exit there on the right. That might be important. Of course, we don't hope so. 2 other important things, the bars. The bars are open all day for tea, coffee, and so on. So whenever you feel thirsty, there you go. Then the food. Well, this is important. Can I get back? Yeah. See this one blinking? Sort of. So we have these food tables all around the room. So one's there and they're spread out. This one is on the other side of the entrance, and they're available on both sides. So don't get in the queue on just one side of that station. There's actually the same food, really the same food, on both sides of these tables, right? So don't worry about it. Also, if you get out of the Lewis after a session and there's a huge queue, just think about it. You could walk on. There's probably less queue there on the left-hand side. We'll just have to see how this goes with 370 people. Why did I make this thing blinking? This is where you'll find the special diets. Vegetarian, vegan, whatever. Everything is on that table next to the entrance. Then there is the big, we're in the Lewis now here. And so we have the Carl over there, the Howard over there, and to the left-hand side is the Jack. So those are the main conference rooms where the tutorials are given. Atrium Central here behind you is yours. Do whatever you want. There are chairs, there are lounge chairs, there are small corners to sit. Go wherever you want. This is our central family room, so to say. And here are the meeting units and the chalets. So the chalets are there and the meeting units are back there. Last but not least, well, I think almost last, we do think about the environment, and we know that getting 360 people of you here is another, probably most of you came here by plane. So what we decided to do this year is to work together with a company called Trees for All. And for €5, you can still do that. You could offer this on the website. For €5, you can buy a tree. And Firely will double the amount of trees. So if you buy a tree, we buy another tree for you. And on the 30th of November, we're going to plant them in an area in the Netherlands that indeed really needs trees. That's, an empty, boring part of the Netherlands, and we'll put some trees there. So to make you feel good, and to help the environment, Trees for All, please, you can still buy a tree during the whole session. So that's basically it for the logistics. So I invite you to just go ahead, go to your first session, and have fun. But remember, we do record all sessions at DevDays, so you can watch them at home. Thank you.